Hi everyone, and welcome to Divine Resolution Tarot. For those of you who are new, my name is Chanel. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. And for those of you who are returning, I just want to thank you so much for all of your likes, your shares, your subscribes, the donations that have been coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this reading is a little bit different than what all of you are used to. I'm going to start doing these every Monday. They are general readings for whatever sign I'm reading for. And hopefully they'll be able to help you all out. Now, don't worry, I will still be doing love readings, and those will be coming out on Tuesdays. So if that's something you need every week versus every month, make sure that you have subscribed to this channel and tap the bell notification. So Aries, for the week of the 29th through the 5th, as I'm looking over your cards, there's an energy here of feeling a little bit of frustration. I'm seeing that you chose a direction that initially you thought was in alignment with yourself. It looked very good, a path that would bring you to what you want, which what I'm seeing is that you were very focused on your stability. For some of you, you were looking at a new job, or perhaps you were looking at a relationship and looking at a person in your life as someone that you would be with for a very long time. Your obstacle, however, is the Three of Wands in the reverse. So for those of you who are really focused on your love life this week, it seems as though you're trying to figure out how do you make something that has been a fling or very casual into something that's real and long lasting. For others of you, this could pertain to your job, and you're trying to figure out if the job that you're working is something that you can do forever. And I feel like part of that is because you could be experiencing some changes. Now, a small amount of you, these changes are physical, okay? So it could be that you're aging. Like, for example, if you work in an industry like construction or service, you may be feeling as though that's just not something that you want to do anymore. It could be extremely physical, right? Whereas now you're like, I'd rather do something that's more mental. As a broader message, I'm seeing that you're having kind of an issue trying to decide what direction to take in your life at this time. There is an energy of you feeling like things are not changing in your life fast enough, because I'm seeing that for the week of the 29th through the 5th, you're actually viewing yourself as death in the reverse. And in your environment, kind of what's influencing you, you got the Nine of Cups. So it's almost the energy of you feeling as though the people in your life are making all these huge changes and you're just kind of stagnant, right? Now, I don't think that this was something that particularly bothered you in the past, because I feel like what you had back then really resonated with who you were back then. But now, as time has passed, it seems as though you're wanting something different. You know, maybe when you chose this direction for your life, you weren't so future focused. And so whatever it is that this is pertaining to was just fine at the time, right? What I'm seeing here is that you're trying to get very clear this week about your future and what you want. There's an energy here of you fearing moving in a new direction, probably because you're very used to what you know, right? So perhaps in our example of working in construction, you could be at the top of your field, right? Whereas if you decided to go do something different, you're feeling as though you have to start from ground zero, you know? And so some of you are a little concerned, is it too late for me to do something completely different? Or I've invested all this time in a person and I'm starting to feel as though this isn't going to go anywhere. You know, am I okay with really walking away from what I've been working on? But I feel as though you're looking very hard at the people in your life and you're noticing that they're having all these gains, whether that's financially or people getting married or having children. And I'm seeing that you're really wanting that for yourself. You know, for some of you, you've built a life that really revolved around being a bachelor or a bachelorette, right? There wasn't really room for anyone else in your life. And so now you're kind of looking around like, wow, people that I know are doing all these things that I really wish I was doing. Or suddenly I realize as I'm getting older, there's things that I wish that I have. How can I make room for that in my life, right? So a lot of reflection. The one thing I will say here is just be careful about being envious of the people in your life. Because oftentimes if we see people have things and then we realize that we want them too, if we get into a space where we're suddenly like, oh, that person doesn't deserve that raise, right? Vibrationally, it's not a very good place to be. Everything that you're seeing happen to the people around you can absolutely happen to you too. I think with what I'm seeing here, Spirit is just wanting you to get very clear about what you want, right? So perhaps going from living in the moment to really looking at the future. Don't be upset if perhaps there's things that you're realizing you want and you're like, I don't have these things, right? Because in the past, when you were making the choices that got you where you are today, it looks like you were moving in a different direction, than some of the things you've realized that you now want, right? So you can't be hard on yourself for building a life that resonated with you back then versus the life that resonates with you today. Now, as I'm looking at what's coming towards you, you have the Knight of Swords. So this is very nice energy because I feel as though you're going to get very, very clear about what direction you need to take. For some of you, you've made a lot of sacrifices in your life. And so you're starting to look at the progress other people are making. And you're like, wow, this has really set me back, like putting other people over myself. For others of you, perhaps you just have a very go with the flow attitude. And so you haven't been taking action in your life, right? Maybe you just kind of don't think about what am I going to be doing 10 years from now? Okay. One thing that I will say is the people in your environment that seem to be getting things that they want, rather than look at that and feel lack in your own life, perhaps look at it like the universe is showing you all of the things that are available to you. And then that way you can start saying to yourself, you know what? I do want that. I do want to buy that house. I do want a husband. I do want a wife. I do want to change careers. Like I said, rather than becoming envious because that energy is just so stagnant, right? So towards the end of the week, I'm seeing you moving into the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. So that can mean a few things. For some of you, you might just kind of get rid of the idea of whatever this is. It might end up being kind of a passing phase. Like, for example, some people get baby fever when they see babies. And then eventually it goes away. And they're like, when I really think about it, that probably looks a lot better than it actually is to live it, right? So for some of you, you're going to realize that that was something that you don't want, And the nice part about that is that if you find yourself yearning for something, right, it could be stemming from something else. So perhaps if you see someone have a baby and you're like, oh, I want babies, and then you really think about it and get to the root cause of that yearning, it could be that you desire a connection that comes with unconditional love, right? And so if you don't want to be responsible for another human being for the rest of your life, you could absolutely look into perhaps joining a dating site and meeting somebody that, you could have a relationship with, right? So for some of you, this yearning is going to pave the way for you to do something else because you'll get to the root cause of what it is that's making you feel this way. For others of you, you're going to charge forward after whatever this is you want. And you're hoping that once you get it, it's going to be as good as it looked on paper, right? Or when your friend had it. And so I see that group of you really making a big change and going in a whole different direction. And it's very, very sudden. For some of you, you may be deciding you just want to move and do something totally different, somewhere different. For others of you, you could be taking that leap into a relationship when perhaps in the past you were like, I'm never going to be with somebody again. I love my space, right? So there's some very big changes for you this week. at least in the sense that you're getting very clear about what you want and you're starting to take the action steps that are necessary to reaching those goals that, you know, in the past you didn't even know that you had or wanted to accomplish, right? So let me pull you an oracle card and we will finish up the reading with a yes or no question. So you start thinking about your yes or no question, and I'm going to pull you an oracle card for this reading. This is a really nice deck I just got, so I'm excited. All right. It says, instead of making excuses and telling yourself why you can't do it or why it's not possible, ask yourself, what if it is possible? I love that so much because that really goes with that energy of the moon for your hopes and fears, where you're kind of trying to talk yourself out of like wanting what you want, right? Oh, it'll be so much work to have to start all over. You can do it, Aries, right? All right, so for your yes or no question, think of your question and I will pull you an oracle card from my Divine Resolution Tarot deck. It says, no, this situation no longer resonates with the frequency you are vibrating on. So if you were asking, what should I do? Should I stay where I am? It seems as though you've outgrown where you are. Now, if you were asking for anything else, it seems as though you've also outgrown that situation. And the bottom of your deck actually says, no, the universe is removing this from your life so that you'll pay attention to an opportunity that you haven't noticed. So if you feel as though you've lost something, it is so that you can see what is really important in your life at this time. Thank you so much for letting me read for you for the week of the 29th through the 5th. I hope that this was able to provide you with clarity, and I will speak to all of you tomorrow when I release the love readings. Bye.